In this lesson, we're going to talk about freedom of the press. So there's an interesting history, and there's a few things we're going to touch on. Different countries have completely different rights on what the press is allowed to print and how many different how they're whether they could be private newspapers or they're all government owned, and they're all different. Now this link right here takes you to this. Oh wait, that'll be next. First, before I show you the map, I'm going to show you all over the world a map that shows how much or how little freedom they have. But before I do that, I want to take you to the U.S. Patriot Act, which you may or may not be familiar with, but that was signed by President George W. Bush in 2001. And when you click on that, you come to this link. It takes you to this page. And you might want to read through. This is what allows the government to put cameras and devices, recording devices. They can conduct investigations. They are supposed to have some evidence that gives them the right to intrude on people's privacies. But some people have argued that they have a gray area. Some people believe that they don't always follow it to the letter of the law, and that individual citizens' rights are at risk. So you can take a look at that. That's this link right here. Okay, and just kind of start to get an idea of how you feel. Maybe you think it's great, that it's really good. All these things keep us safe, and there were terrorist attacks, and that was why this was signed into law, to try to protect us from something like that happening again. On the other hand, right, you might not see it that way. So that is the whole point. All right, moving on to the next page, we're going to take a look at other countries and how much freedom of the press they have. So here is the link right here. If you click it somewhere on this page, we'll take you to this map. I don't know wherever it is, but anyway, here's the map. You can look at it. So red has a very serious situation, meaning they are pretty much all government owned or government regulated media. Difficult means there's a little bit of both, probably not very many privately owned. Problematic, again, somewhere in the middle. Satisfactory, those are ones where there is some government intervention, but for the most part, they have freedom of the press. And then green is completely free. Now, if you'll look, there aren't that many that have completely free of government intervention freedom of the press. Very few countries, right? Most of them here up in Scandinavia, even the United States, right? We're not even in as good of shape as Canada and Australia, where they have a little bit more freedom. France, Germany, and things like that. Like, we have a lot more censorship. My husband's Australian, and I noticed, like, when I went to visit Australia, in their magazines, like Vogue, a fashion magazine, there were more revealing pictures than would have been allowed in the United States. I was very surprised to see that these magazines that were sold, as normal, not, anything explicit or anything. It was just a normal part of their society to be less censored. So I thought you might find it interesting taking a look at this map. What do you think? Do you find the United States to be more censored than these other countries? That's something to think about. All right, now when you click here, we're talking about some different links, and on these little eyeball things, just know that you can click on these, and they will take you to different links where you can find articles and different kinds of things if you're interested in, just some more enrichment activities and articles about other countries and how they approach freedom of the press. Okay, again, down here is just more enrichment. But we're going to get to our portfolio topic, and we're going to talk about politics and presidents, and we're going to focus here on the Watergate scandal. So you can read through this happened in the 1970s, and this involved Richard Nixon, and it was a huge scandal. But it's interesting because I think you might be able to find some parallels on whatever side of the argument you are with the current presidential situation. It's interesting that some of the same situations are kind of going down. And is there presidential privilege? Does the president have to be accountable in the same way as all of the citizens? And that's what I really want you to explore here. So I'm going to ask you to watch this 6-minute video, and then I have some questions. Okay. And this will be your portfolio. This will be a link. This will be linked. You can open this. So here's a link to the video. Here's a link as well embedded in the document. And these are the questions that I'd like you to answer. Like I said, it's only 6 minutes, so it gives you the whole rundown of what happened. And I'll be interested to know what your beliefs are. Should Nixon have been sorry for his role in the Watergate scandal or not? Was he justified? Was he correct when he said there should be a principle of confidentiality in presidential conversations? You might agree with that or you might not. And I'd like to know kind of which side you're on and, explain your beliefs so I get a good sense of where you're coming from. Do you think Nixon should have resigned as he did, or do you think he should have stayed in office to finish out his term? Again, why do you believe that? And then in general, you're welcome to talk about the current situations that are happening or something from the past or anything that you've heard of that just kind of springs to mind. Do you think presidents and leaders of countries should have rights that the rest of the citizens don't share? Maybe you do. I'd love to hear your ideas on that. Or maybe you don't think so. And I'd also like to hear them on that side. The last question is, what rules do you believe journalists should adhere to when reporting news? Like, should it just be straight black and white news, just the facts? Or should there be a little bit of influence? That it's clear that they're giving you their opinion and maybe you listen to them because you like their opinions. Do you like to see opinions on both sides? Or would you just rather have straight news reporting? So again, just like to hear your opinions on that. So that is this portfolio, and you'll see a Dropbox at the end for where you will submit your written work.